If you want to turn your relationship around and fix a problem that's happening in your relationship, but you don't know where to start, this is a video for you. I'm going to introduce 7 core skills. Figure out which one of these will make the biggest impact on you and your relationship and your future, and dive into that one. Give it your time and attention and focus. I once heard that a problem clearly stated is a problem half solved. And the challenge with a lot of relationship therapy, counseling, coaching, all the rest of that is if you don't agree on the problem, you won't agree on the solution. And there are 7 core areas to focus on, 7 core skills to turn your relationship around, and 7 core problems if they're not being met. So what I want to do is dive in and help you understand it and get away from taking it personally, like your partner's doing something wrong or doing something to you. A lot of times your partner's just not trained in one of these 7 core areas. And if they get the training, it will turn their relationship skills around. So number 1, you can guess it. Number 1 in almost every reason for divorce, for separation, all the rest of it, is communication issues. So if you think about it, on one side, communication can either be your kryptonite or your superpower. I know for me, the way I was brought up, it was my kryptonite. And I had to learn some skills. So if you want to think about it, number 1 skill, learning how to communicate so that both of you feel heard, understood, and valued. What are we communicating about? Core skill number 2 is about getting your needs met. Most people don't know how to notice, name, and negotiate their needs. And there are 10 core needs. We're talking about the 7 core skills, 10 core needs. Now, there's a lot more needs than that, but it's really important that if you're going to have a great relationship, that you actually be able to talk about what your precious needs are and be able to feel like they are precious rather than a burden. So that is skill number 2. Number 3 is when it comes to communication, when it comes to getting your needs met, at some levels, there's going to be conflict. Do you run from conflict or can you lean into it? Can you use it as a tool to build the relationship or does it destroy it? The core skill number 3 is conflict resolution. Can you use conflicts to bring you closer? Can you meet conflict with courage and compassion and curiosity, or do you retreat from it? And it is a powerful tool when you learn how to use it right. Number 4 is around wounds. We all have wounds and triggers. And one of my mentors, someone called Carolyn Mays, said that we all get wounded. We either get bitter or we get better. So what are you going to do with your wounds? Now, years ago, I broke my hand going over the handlebars of my mountain bike. And I had a splint on it. Now, if I kept the splint on it, the splint would stop being a healing force and start being a damaging force. And what happens is if we don't heal our wounds, they're like splints. And what happens is a lot of times what happens is we get wounded and we build up a wall, and it's great for healing for a month or 2, but if we don't get that wall removed, what happens is we start to harden our heart. And we become less and less available in relationships. So one of the critical skills in a relationship is how to heal, how to forgive, how to move forward, how to heal those wounds and tame those triggers. So after healing wounds, the next one up, and yours is going to be different. So you'll figure out which one is the most critical for you in your current situation. And the next one up is trust. And there's 2 types of trust. Do I trust you? If I'm in a relationship with you, to keep your word, to keep your agreements, to respect my boundaries, to try to meet my needs. So that's the first level of trust. Can I trust you in the relationship? The second level, which is almost more important, is do I trust me in a relationship with you? Will I keep my word to myself? Will I respect my boundaries? Will I meet my needs? Or will I give it all up to be in a relationship with you? And that is the world of codependence. And on this platform, we're going to have some definite deep dive trainings into understanding and having compassion for the world of codependence. It's not like it's a terrible disease that's happened to you. It's It's a place of fear that can be overcome. And so those are the two levels of trust. Do I trust you in the relationship? And do I trust me in the relationship? Or the next skill is about decisions. How are decisions made? And it's interesting because a lot of times relationships there's so many decisions we make. We make financial decisions, decisions about the kids, careers, all the rest of it, especially if we're like in a long-term committed relationship. But we rarely sit down and decide, how are we going to decide? And so it happens, all of a sudden we're talking about money and we get in an upset, and we have this upset regularly rather than going back and going, all right, when it comes to money, how are we going to decide? So that's a critical thing, deciding how we're going to decide in a relationship. Then number 7 is intimacy. So there's 3 levels of intimacy. Number 1 is emotional, number 2 is physical, number 3 is sexual. So when it comes to emotional intimacy, can you be with a level of emotions? Are you able to share them with somebody else? Are you able to be with your own emotions, or do you run from your own emotions? And like anytime that you have a feeling, go for alcohol or drugs or TV or whatever it is to suppress a feeling. Can you be with your feelings? Can you be with your partner's feelings? Are you a safe space for hurt and upset and anger and disappointment? That's going to create the emotional intimacy that is so important to have a remarkable relationship. The second place is physical intimacy. That's touch, cuddling, holding. And why I separate them is because it's really important, especially for women, because women have been conditioned that sometimes when you're touching, it's just foreplay and it's getting ready for sexual intimacy. And I want to make a difference between those. Cuddling is cuddling. It's great if you use it in foreplay, but it's also important that somebody knows that they can come be held by you, come give you a hug. It's great. Physical intimacy is great in what's called launchings and landings. If your home is a safe space and your partner is launching either on a long-term trip or a short-term trip, it's great to get a hug before you go. I love you. Let me hold you. Let me just, let me send you out into the world knowing that you're loved. Okay, you've been gone all day, all week, longer than that. Let me hold you for a landing. My beloved will ask for regular cuddles. Can we just have 5 minutes, lay on the couch, lay on the bed? And this is like fully closed, just wrap your arms around me and hold me. That is physical intimacy, and it's critical. It's critical with your kids so that they get grounded. It's critical with your partner. And then the third one is around sexual intimacy. And it's being open and vulnerable there. And if you can't be with emotions, you're going to have their sex life might be avoiding intimacy versus eye contact. And there's going to be some videos on the platform that will help you take a deeper dive. I did a video on Tantra and sacred sexuality, and it's been seen 6,200,000 times. And the important thing about it is, you think about it, sexual intimacy is just another form of communicating. What do you want to communicate to your partner? Can you have eyes open kissing and intimacy and sex? Can you hold your hand on their heart and look at them and send love through your eyes? How intimate is your lovemaking? Or are you trying to avoid even seeing your partner because there's so much embarrassment and shame and wounds around sex and sexuality? So those are the 7 core skills. Each one of them is going to be a deep dive on this platform. I just gave you a brief idea of them. This was not intended to be a training on them. So communication, getting your needs met, being able to notice, name, and negotiate them. Conflict resolution, healing wounds and taming triggers. Building trust, making decisions, and creating intimacy. If you can get those 7 mastered, you will transform your relationship and have a truly remarkable relationship with a lot of different people. I mean, the people in your life in all different areas, these are core skills that you can use. Obviously, some of them you're only going to use with your intimate partners, but these are skills that you use in every aspect of your life. Thank you so much for your time and attention and focus, and we'll catch you in the next video.